a lot of hotels. You can go to any of those hotels in the reception, ask for a taxi cab. They will come and pick you up to bring you back to the harbor. So it's very, very easy and convenient. You have plenty of time. The taxi can cost you more or less something like 4 or 5 euros. 4 or 5, huh? It's not so much. Four people in a taxi always. However, ladies and gentlemen, we leave behind us the old city and heading to our second destination. In about half an hour we're going to be there. I would like to tell you that it is confusing what we have seen with all this history and with all these elements of cultures, but there is something else that I have to tell you, because some of you asked me a few things and you might be a bit confused. Life in this island, according to the latest excavation, started since almost 5,000 years before Christ, the Colossus of Rhodes. A beautiful story that I will tell you on the way back, but I have to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, and this is very important, that actually city had important events happening during the Roman years, affecting the island until today. You know what it was? As I said in the morning, the Apostle Paul, who came during his second travel in Lindos, that we go, 52 after Christ. He taught Christianity there, and believing it or not, since that time until today, 97% of the people are Orthodox Christians. Almost 400 years after him, the Roman Empire, a little by little, becomes Byzantine Empire. Rhodes is a part of Byzantium for another of 1,000 of years following, but during all the time, a lot of different enemies and conquerors show up, either for a short time or for a long time. For example, people like the Saracens, the Pirates, the Goths, the North, the West, the Avarians, the Slavians, Seljuks, the Ottomans, the Xenophis, the Venetians, the Langhards, the Greeks, the Germans, the Italians, and a lot of others. You don't need all that stuff. I don't want to cause you a headache early in the morning. But there are some of the events happening during the after Christ years that they affected a lot the island, and this is what we can see mostly today. I remind you, number one event, it was the time of the Knights. I remind you the dates, 1309 until 1522. The Ottomans, 1523-1912, the Italians, 1912-1943, the Germans, 1943-1945, the British, and finally 1948 back to Greece. So briefly, this is what happens, so we finish with history. 1523 officially until 1912, 390 years almost. And most of Greece, actually, they were for almost 400 years. Or even better, the woman bringing the beer as well. But anyway, the right answer is a woman. But we have a serious problem in our story. He was a god. He couldn't give him any simple woman as a present, and he couldn't give him any goddess either, because a god cannot own a god. That's why he decided to give him as a present something in between. For God's sake, when I say something in between, don't misunderstand me. I'm not referring to the Brokeback Mountain situation, you have seen that movie. Something in between, for those days it was something more elegant and nice, and that was a nymph. Do you have any idea what nymphs are?
No.
Oh yeah.
I don't know.
Oops, I did it again. Let me help you. Mythologically speaking, always, nymphs were the daughters of Poseidon, the god of the sea. Extremely beautiful ladies. Now, they were living always under the sea, the rivers or the lakes. They were always dressed in white, and they were always virgin. I know, worldwidely, there is a large misunderstanding about the word nymph, and that mainly started since the medieval times. I need to remind you that during those days in Europe we had a lot of wars. And imagine that the soldiers, for years and years, they were away from their homes. And all of those, they had a dream. One day, to turn back home and spend the rest of their lives with plenty of nymphs. Actually, this is how words like nymphomania show up. But I repeat, as a word, it's a lot misunderstood, because still in Greece we use it, and we call it nymphy. Do you have any idea what nymphy means? Nymphy, ladies and gentlemen, is the bride. That helps you to understand why mostly around the world the brides are dressed in white, because they represent a nymph, and the nymph was always a symbol of purity. Why? Because at that time they used to be virgins, exactly. So coming back to our story, one beautiful morning, an extremely beautiful nymph came out of the sea, and she was the present for Apollo. What was her name? The answer is very easy, all of you know it. Come on, the answer is extremely easy. If I give you the answer, you will tell me, for God's sake, left, it was so easy. What was the name of the nymph?
Athena?
Athena was a goddess, no.
Oh, okay, so. Oh, God. Eso está en la historia. Aquí está, pero no me acuerdo.
Not enough coffee in the ship. Ladies and gentlemen, the name of the nymph was Rhodes. For God's sake, that's why we're saying this story, right?
I get it.
The nymph of Rhodes.
I know the name, it's Rhodes.
Bravo, Yanni. By the way, the nymph of Rhodes was such an extreme beauty that when Apollo saw her, he has fallen madly in love to her. They lived together for about 3 years. They made a beautiful family of 7 children.
Wow, 3 years?
Well, this is something still I cannot figure out how it happens. But don't forget, he was an Apollo, she was a nymph. What do you expect? Triplets. For sure, triplets. But anyway, after those 3 years, he said that he was not quite happy any longer. The reason why? He was having both at the same time, 2 opposite feelings. According to the very first feeling, he was very, very glad because he was having the beautiful lady he wanted to. And according to the second feeling, he was very, very sad because he knew from the very first moment he saw that lady that she could not keep her forever. Why? Because that lady was not immortal like he was. So he was trying day by day to find a way to keep her in immortality. And finally, after those 3 years, he found a way. I guess he did something that only gods could do, because I tried to do it to my wife and didn't work out. So do you know what did he do?
He became immortal.
Oh, for God's sake, Annie, you see a lot of horror movies. No. He turned that beautiful lady into an island.
Into an island?
Yes. Personally, me, I find this solution stupid.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Now, well, if I were in his shoes, I would turn my mother-in-law into an island. And it would be bigger. But anyway, why did he do that? He said that in that way he could live on her, so they could be together forever. His children could live on her too, so the whole family could be together. And the grandchildren born out of that are the very first people on the island. So you realize somehow how easily, in a little story like that, the people try to explain 3 different things at the same time. The name of the island, the existence of the island, and the very first people around here. So what else can I say after all? Once more, welcome to Greece. I'm sure you might have heard or read a lot of different mythological stories, and you're going to listen a lot more in the future. But you know something? Out of the whole of the ancient Greek mythology, I would like you to remember only one thing. If you remember that, you're going to realize that a lot of things around you every day can be explained very easily. So what I want you to remember, it is the answer to the question, what is mythology? I love the fact that you try to explain to me a Greek word with another Greek word.
Exaggerated story. An exaggerated story?
No.
Not reality? Something that's not real or...
Alright, I like everything you said. I will put them all together.
Okay.
Remember one thing. Mythology, ladies and gentlemen, was a kind of a code of truth. The people of the past were not all highly educated. But those few scholars, that they were existing, they decided to heritage the truth through the centuries. How? By taking pieces of truth, wrapping them inside beautiful stories, easily to be remembered, so they could be carried through the centuries, and always with a divine character, so the people had to deal with those, and they were hoping that one day, the people of the future that could be highly educated, they could find the stories, analyze those, and they could discover the truth behind them. Meaning somehow that in every mythological story there is at least one piece of truth hidden very well inside. That's why I would like to challenge you now early in the morning, and I would like to ask you to tell me what is the basic truth that you suspect in the story that I just told you. For God's sake, I'm not talking about the fact that I'm one of the grandsons of Apollo. I know that. Something else more obvious. What is the truth that you think there is in this story? Yes.
They fell in love.
I'm going to remind you something, because you are all smart people, that you know it better even than me. The truth, ladies and gentlemen, is always in front of our eyes. But the problem with all of us, it is even though that we keep our eyes open, we don't see everything. So what I would like you to do today, it's something very simple. Wherever we drive, wherever we go, just look outside your windows and you will see the truth. Most of the materials around us here that are part of the soil, the land, are sandstone, limestone and clay. Materials that prove that this island for millions of years it used to be a part of a sea, and one day came out of a sea like a beautiful nymph. If we had the chance to climb even to the highest Rocky Mountains here, we can find plenty of seashells, but they also prove that this island used to be a part of a sea. So according to our story, the island of Rhodes is the nymph of Rhodes that came out of the sea, and it was delivered to whom? Apollo. Who was Apollo? The god of the sun. That's why since those days until today, 300 days in a year, sun shining weather. So you realize how the people, out of the things that they could see around them, they were creating the stories of mythology. And this is the truth. Did you like it?
Yes.
Lovely. How we are driving now on the eastern coastline and going down south, I will show you something that you will see it a lot here, and unfortunately you don't have it a lot in the States. Most of the trees that you see around you, what are those? And you will see hundreds of thousands of those. Olives. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, the olive tree is a kind of a blessing for us here. Do you know when it is the harvest of that? Late October to January, meaning that immediately by the end of the season here, the touristic season, the people start working with us. In Greece, we call it as the tree of life, and there are three important reasons why. Do you have any idea how many years an olive tree can live? 300 to 1,000. We have plenty of those that they reach here on the island 1,500 years, and the oldest one is in Crete, 3,000 years old.
Wow.
Because it lives so long, we get it as a heritage from a father to a son, so in a way symbolizes the family tree. And of course, the third reason why it is very important, we call it as the tree of life, we get a very important products from that, very important for our life. What is the most important out of all the products? The olive oil. To give you a slight idea how important it is for us, the olive oil, we can play a game. Imagine that you are all back home, and each one of you has a family of 4 people. Can you please tell me, in 1 year, for your family of 4, how many liters of olive oil you might need to use? If you don't use liters, a liter is a quarter of a gallon, about a bottle this size. So how many bottles you need for your family of 4 in 1 year? Yanni, you don't play. You don't play in that game, Yanni.
25.
You use 15. Anybody else?
20 in my house?
Yes, you use 20.
25.
Yes. The reason why you use that much, it is because you have roots from the Spanish places and roots. Actually, most of the people in the States or around the world, except the Mediterranean countries, they use 3, 4 or 5 liters a year. This is the medium average. The first productive country all around the world is Spain. And the second is Italy. Do you know how many liters a year they use, these 2 countries, for a family of 4? 45 to 50 liters a year. And the third productive country all around the world is Greece. Do you have any idea what a Greek family of 4 uses? We use about 100 to 120 liters a year. Some of the people ask me many times, are you drinking that? Are you bathing in that? No, we cook with that. And actually the Greek cuisine is based in olive oil almost in everything. And don't forget that the good quality of extra virgin olive oil creates more good cholesterol than the bad one, which makes you feel stronger and healthier inside. And as long as you are in Greece, I want to give you a tip. You will have the chance, probably Yanni, one day to go to a Greek tavern. When you are in a Greek tavern among Greek people to eat, ladies and gentlemen, remember one detail to pay attention. Look at the rest of the Greeks, what they do around. How much of olive oil they put up on their salads. And then they take a piece of a bread and they dip it inside and they eat it just like that. For us it is that much important like blood, and I cannot imagine anyone living without olive oil. The olive trees actually, they give you seeds from the 7th year of their age. You harvest them every year, but every 2nd year you have a rich harvest. And there are 3 different ways, mainly in Greece, to harvest an olive tree. The first one, ladies and gentlemen, is the hardest one, the most ancient one. We have to climb up on the tree to pick one by one